Börjesson's mysterious discovery, Annie was found washed up on a beach, covered in wounds. The Scottish authorities claimed Annie took her own life, and her injuries were from the ocean. But over time, Annie's family learned that a lot of things were covered up about her case, and some people have come to believe Annie was slain by a spy who thought she was someone else. On December 4th, 2005, a man was walking his dog along Prestwick Beach in Scotland when he noticed something under a pile of seaweed and sand. As he got closer, he realized it was a corpse lying face down in the sand and immediately notified authorities. Once the cops arrived at the scene, they were able to identify the woman as 30-year-old Annie Börjesson. She still had all of her clothes on, and her bag was found nearby with her passport and wallet inside, along with some books that belonged to a Swedish library. On the morning of the 3rd, Annie left her apartment and headed to the airport, but she never made her flight. So what happened along the way? Well, after the initial crime scene investigation, officials sent Annie's remains off for an autopsy, where examiners noted her body had been heavily contaminated by sand and seaweed, and her lungs showed signs of congestion, which is common in drowning cases. With that, examiners concluded that Annie most likely drowned, and they thought it was intentional, like she was trying to end her life. But when Scottish authorities told Annie's family that, they didn't buy it. And beyond your average "she wouldn't do such a thing" belief, Annie's family found out about some super suspicious things that made them believe there was foul play. For starters, authorities classified her case as secret because her case files would apparently jeopardize information in Sweden's relations with foreign entities. They didn't release Annie's case files to her family until 1 year later, and by that point, almost all of the information was revised, including Annie's COD. Oh, and here's something else super shady. After Annie's initial autopsy in Scotland, her body was transported to Sweden. There, another autopsy was performed by Swedish examiners who noticed a bunch of palm-sized bruises on her right arm, side, and behind her right ear that appeared to have happened before she passed away. Somehow, the Scots missed Annie's bruises entirely, even though they were super visible. But when Swedish examiners tested Annie's tissue, they found tiny diatom shells that are found in fresh water, not salt water. Whoa, what? I think it's safe to assume the Scottish examiners missed a few other important things about Annie's body. Or they did, and tried to cover it up. Oh, and get this. Upon the initial discovery of Annie, the police knew for certain that it was a self-inflicted act or accident. So they never called a forensic team to the scene, swabbed for samples, collected fiber, water, or other evidence, and they didn't even talk to any possible witnesses nearby. As if things aren't already chalking up to be super sus, Annie's long, waist-length hair had been completely chopped off. OMG, and they still think she did this herself? After all of these weird things started coming up to the surface, it was discovered that Annie had been seeing a guy who was pretending to be a famous rugby player, but in reality, he seemed to be a con artist who very well could have been responsible for her demise. Yeah. Let's get into that. So Annie moved to Edinburgh to study English in 2004. She was super smart, like spoke 5 languages smart. Annie fell in love with Scotland during her study abroad. At the beginning of 2005, Annie's term had come to an end, so she went back home to Sweden. But by late October, she had saved up enough money to move back to Edinburgh. At the time, she was living off of unemployment money from Sweden, but was actively looking for a job in the hotel industry that would hopefully let her live in Edinburgh for good. Can I just say, looking for a job is the absolute worst. I don't really have one. Anyway, Annie was hustling to find work, but like anyone, she needed something to help her let loose. Which brings us to the Edinburgh nightclub, Mood. Yeah, that's the name of the club. Anyway, Annie would hit up Mood pretty frequently, but she wasn't one of those sloppy drunks. She was more of an occasional drinker who just enjoyed the company of others. Enter Martin Leslie. So Martin Leslie was a New Zealand native and international rugby star. When he met Annie at Mood one night, it was clear Martin was super into her. When he first approached her, he offered her a glass of champagne and asked to talk. Annie, being the confident woman she was, declined the drink, but decided to entertain Martin with a conversation. Now, something about Annie is she was absolutely obsessed with rugby, so the thought of being in the presence of a renowned player had to be so surreal for her. Well, after their long conversation at the club, it's not clear if Martin and Annie started a relationship, but it is confirmed that he showed up at the local swimming pool she frequented a few times, and they allegedly met up once at a rugby club. So it kind of seems like she had herself a stalker. This relationship came to the surface because Annie told her fam bam and her bestie Maria about meeting him. I mean, he was a famous rugby player. How could she not tell him all about it? So Maria said the last time she talked to her bestie on the phone, Annie mentioned Martin and said he acted super strange at the rugby club. And his behavior was so strange that Annie told Maria she was gonna try and avoid Martin because something about him made her feel uneasy. Annie's family also mentioned that she told them about Martin, and last they heard, Annie thought he was acting super predatorial. But here's the kicker. Martin wasn't who he said he was. After Annie was discovered lifeless on the beach, Martin was obviously brought up as a suspect, but it was later revealed that the real Martin Leslie wasn't even in Scotland at the time, which meant the Martin Annie was talking to was a total poser. But he really knew his stuff, because he allegedly told Annie a bunch of detailed information that only Martin or a super creepy Martin poser would know about. So who was this guy? And was he just obsessed with Martin as a coincidence, or did he stalk Annie and find out she liked rugby, leading him to start posing as one of the hottest players? But also, if Annie loved rugby as much as she made it out to be, how could she not tell this guy wasn't Martin? He couldn't have looked that similar to the real guy, right? Or maybe the lights were just so dim at the club that she couldn't tell. After searching through Annie's email, it was revealed that her last message was sent to this Martin poser. Well, whatever was in the email, it didn't seem like Annie was contemplating ending her own life, although she seemed to be going through something personal in the days leading up to her demise. Her family said Annie seemed a bit troubled in their most recent phone calls. In one of their convos, Annie's mom told her daughter that the whole family was worried about her, but Annie said, "You have to respect this, but I have to take care of myself." But police officers say there is no record of this phone call. In fact, they said Annie's phone didn't get any calls in the 3 days leading up to the crime, and there wasn't a phone call between Annie and her best friend Maria for months. When Annie's mom tried to log into her daughter's Hotmail account, it had been completely erased. So it's almost as if someone went in and deleted all of Annie's recent online and phone conversations. But what? Well, even if the phone call between Annie and her mom couldn't be proven, Annie's mom wasn't the only one worried about her. One of the employees at her apartment complex even called Annie depressed. The employee said Annie recently told her she had to take care of something and needed to make a decision that might change her life. What is this decision? We need details. Well, as much as we all want more answers, Annie never elaborated on it more. So here's what we know about Annie's whereabouts leading up to her discovery. On Thursday, December 1st, she called one of her Swedish friends and said she was going to a party at 10 o'clock that night. Not much is known about the following day, but on Saturday, December 3rd, it's confirmed that Annie left her Edinburgh apartment and headed for the airport to catch a flight back home. Along the way, Annie stopped at the Glasgow Central Station at around 2:15 to try and get some money out of her bank account. The first transaction was for $100. The second was for $50. Both were declined for insufficient funds. Oof. I've been there before. About an hour later, Annie was caught on a security camera about 30 miles away that captured her heading through the walkway that connected the railway station to the Prestwick airport. It's most commonly believed that Annie took a train to the airport from the Glasgow station, but it's never been officially confirmed because she wasn't caught on camera, and there were no charges on her credit card for a train ticket, which meant she either hopped on the train without paying or paid with cash. Something else unclear about Annie's travels is the flight she intended to take back home. Based on a conversation with her hairdresser back in Sweden, Annie clearly intended to be back home on Monday, December 5th for a hair appointment. And based on the time she was spotted at the airport, most people believe Annie was trying to hop on the 6:30 flight to Gothenburg, Sweden. But again, there were no charges on her account that proved she bought a plane ticket. Although Annie was known to carry cash in her handy-dandy Filofax organizer, which is a fancy European wallet type thing. Well, after being at the airport for a whopping 4 minutes and 41 seconds, Annie was spotted exiting the building near the short stay parking lot. Annie didn't have a car parked in the lot, so some people think she went to the lot to look for an ATM, but it's possible she went there to meet up with someone. Maybe Martin? Whatever the reason, Annie looked pretty pissed when she was caught leaving the parking lot 3 minutes later in the video footage, which makes me think the person she was meeting up with either ghosted her or did something to frustrate her. At 3:19 p.m., Annie was seen leaving the airport and heading in the direction of the city of Prestwick. I am so confused. What is this girl doing? And if you're as lost as me right now, just wait until you hear this. After looking over the video footage of Annie on the security cameras in the area, it seems like the clips had been altered. It would be physically impossible for Annie to travel to all of the places she was captured on camera unless she was sprinting hardcore. And in one of the clips, people argued whether or not Annie was actually Annie or if she was a random dude, which is a pretty drastic switch up. Annie had blonde hair down to her waist, so it's not like she often got mixed up for a dude. A retired detective chimed in on the situation and said the images from Station Road are rubbish. I may assume that it's Annie, what with time and travel direction, but detectives should never assume. They work with facts, not assumptions. We know Annie ended up on the beach, but the whole story is not known. They simply don't have a full picture of what happened, and that's the tea. The last reported sighting of Annie was around 4:30 p.m. Two locals were walking along Prestwick Beach when they spotted a figure at the edge of the water. They couldn't tell if it was a woman or a man, but the witnesses said the individual was just standing still out there, looking out into the water, almost like they were contemplating ending their life. But the witnesses weren't too worried because they headed home and didn't report anything until Annie was discovered a day later. And even though it was never confirmed that this alleged figure resembled Annie, a Solicitor General for Scotland told the Swedish embassy that the witness statement indicated that someone who looked like Annie was seen standing at the water's edge looking out to sea. So they really tried to make it out like Annie took her own life, which makes me wonder why. Like, even if Scotland has beef with Sweden, they should at least be truthful about their findings in a case like this. Well, here's the hottest goss. When Maria was searching for information about what may have happened to Annie, she found out that there was a US journalist named Christina Börjesson, and Annie's full name was Annie Christina Börjesson. So the thing about this journalist is she was reporting on the CIA's rendition flights that operated out of the Prestwick airport. Rendition flights are government-sponsored flights where they use civilian aircrafts to transfer terrorism suspects to secret detention sites across the world. It's basically the secret abduction of supposed criminals, so a country like the US can avoid former countries' laws, like Scotland on interrogation, detention, extradition, and torture. It's super intense and secretive, which is why Christina was probably under close watch, and if caught, some people might want her lifeless. Which brings us to the insane and highly probable theory that Annie was slain by someone who wanted to keep the rendition flights a secret. Most people believe the execution was carried out by someone from the CIA or MI5, which is the UK's Central Intelligence Agency. There is an extensive history of the MI5 spying on people they find suspicious, so it's really not out of the ordinary for them to do the same to Annie if they thought she was the reporter Christina. Some people who believe this theory even think Annie had been approached by this spy. Before she passed away, Annie apparently asked her brother how people could be traced on a computer. She also told her family to not call her home phone. It also seemed like Annie had been staying somewhere else because when officials searched her place, they didn't find any of her toiletries or favorite articles of clothing. And even though she was traveling, those items weren't found in her bags either. The Swedish and Scottish governments still refuse to release any information or files relating to Annie's case. They say the details are classified, and if they share them with the public or even Annie's family, it might do harm to national interests. I am so lost. How does Annie have anything to do with foreign relations? Other than the fact that she was from Sweden and was slain in Scotland, I have no idea why these countries are making such a big deal about sharing valuable information with Annie's poor, grieving parents. It really is so sad that Annie's parents don't have any closure and will probably never get any. In an interview, Annie's mom once said, "This is a beautiful country with loving and caring people. Please do not leave them and our family with all these unanswered questions. All we want is a fatal accident inquiry into Annie's mysterious death. Please let us know why Annie had to die in the country she loved." Ugh, that is so tragic. So now that you've heard the details we know about Annie's case, what do you think happened? Did the Martin Leslie poser stalk and snuff her? Or was she slain by the CIA or MI5 because they mixed her up with that reporter? Well, we're not gonna wrap up this story anytime soon, but at least we can wrap up this curry tofu. Stay safe out there.